Welcome to Max Metabolic. I'm Caitlin, a 7-year fitness coach helping you build real fitness for real life. Today's video, we are going to talk about the effects of caffeine and sugar on your weight management, on your ability to lose weight, maintain your weight loss, if it affects weight gain, things like that, so stay tuned. Caffeine is found in more than 60 plant species globally. Don't mind me, I'm reading from my notes I prepared for this video just to stay on track. I have a little bit of ADHD, so bear with me here. Caffeine is found in more than 60 plant species globally. Caffeine is metabolized in the small intestines. For those who don't know, your small intestine's job is to absorb nutrients from the food that you're ingesting, and it's going to take those nutrients and basically shuttle them all through the body where they're supposed to go. Blood cells, muscle cells, brain cells, organ, liver cells, kidney cells, whatever, okay? So your body is using the small intestines to actually uptake nutrients and deliver when we're supposed to go. So caffeine is metabolized in the small intestines within about 30 minutes. It has a half-life about 3 to 5 hours. A single dose of caffeine, typically 200 milligrams, is a non-threat to people without comorbidities. I have a hard time with that word. It's a tongue twister. A single dose of about 300 to 400 grams, so that's a little bit on the higher dose for like a single serving. All at once can cause restlessness, nervousness, excitement, insomnia, facial flushing, increased urination, GI disorders, things like that. But generally, 400 milligrams is a day is the recommended daily amount allowance. You can technically have up to like a gram of caffeine a day as long as it's not like all in one sitting, but like split throughout the day. And still be okay, even though I wouldn't recommend that. I've done that. I've had days where I've accidentally gotten upwards of 1.1 grams of caffeine by 11 a.m. That's what happens when you work in the supplement industry for a while. I don't do that anymore. But so there's benefits to caffeine. I would say upward of probably 400 milligrams a day, you're going to get the benefits. There is such thing as a caffeine cap. Which is basically what that means is that there comes a certain point where you're just ingesting more caffeine for kind of no reason. You've surpassed the benefits of caffeine and now you're just consuming caffeine. So up to a certain point, usually about 400 milligrams of caffeine a day, anywhere from 2 to 400, depending on your tolerance and stuff. There are going to be benefits from caffeine, but if you're pushing that upwards of a gram of caffeine a day, especially if that's something you're doing regularly, I only did that the one time, you're going to have more negative side effects than positive. In low doses of caffeine, so around 200 milligrams or 2 cups of coffee, that's also going to be the same as most, not all, but most energy drinks on the market nowadays. There used to be energy drinks that were 3 to 350 mgs of caffeine, but most brands that I've seen at least are kind of like bringing it down more towards that 200 mark. So anyway, there's really only positive benefits with about like a 200 milligram mark. So like 2 cups of coffee and an energy drink. Now that's not taking into consideration the people who are drinking like 4 or 5 energy drinks a day. But higher concentrations like 400 all at once or higher than 400 is more associated with the negative effects. Just like I said, higher concentrations are going to be more frequently found, I should say, in energy drinks and pre-workouts, things like that, or other forms of stimulants. There's also caffeine a lot of the times in fat burners. At one of the supplement stores I worked at, one of the fat burners off the top of my head, I believe it had 150 milligrams of caffeine per serving. So they're going to kind of vary, but like a higher dose, like a 400 milligram of caffeine, you're really only going to find in like pre-workouts nowadays. 2 cups of coffee is not going to get you too much caffeine. Most coffees average around 95 milligrams of caffeine per cup, and a cup meaning like an 8-ounce cup, not like the big old giant cups like I do sometimes. Just calling myself out here. I'm a coffee girly. But yeah, so you can have, there are coffee grounds out there that have, depending on the roast, depending on the grind, have higher or lower levels of caffeine, but like generally it's about 95 grams of caffeine. All right, so switching on to sugar. Oh, I forgot to mention there are, or I'll get into this later. Sugar, because I'm kind of just going over general benefits or pros or cons, but sugar Excessive sugar consumption can have like basically the opposite effect of caffeine. Excessive sugar consumption can lead to higher risk of all-cause mortality, diabetes, heart disease, cognitive function impaired, increased risk impairment, or wait, I'm reading my notes wrong. Cognitive function impairment or increased risk of dementia. Sugar-induced impairments in cognitive function is even shown independently to obesity or weight gain. So basically what that means is like even if you're not obese, even if you're not gaining weight, excess sugar will basically slow your brain down. Slow down the cognitive function of your brain. It'll be harder to perform at work, harder to think, harder to process, harder to brainstorm, harder to you name it. Excess sugar like that can have a direct effect on your brain in that way. In your in your mood, in your memory, in your recognition patterns, in your concentration. It'll affect all that, whether you're overweight or not. If you're having excessive sugar consumption, sugar can also lead to other things like gut dysbiosis, creating an unbalanced microbiome. If you're not sure what a microbiome is, that is the bacteria ecosystem. So it's basically ruining the microbiome. It's increasing your bad bacteria, decreasing your good bacteria in your gut. That's going to help keep your gut balanced. This is going to show in your mental health. It's going to show in your skin. It'll affect your brain, skin, gut health. For those who don't know, there's something called a vagus nerve that connects your brain to your gut. This is why people say your gut is your second brain, because literally it is. It's connected via your vagus nerve that connects the two. That's why your gut health and your mental health function so closely together. So keep that in mind as well. The above cohort, which I'm going to put all the links, by the way, in the description box below. I'll put a screenshot right here. The cohort study found that whether the coffee is unsweetened, or like if you're drinking a coffee that is unsweetened, whether it's caffeinated or not, had no effect on weight gain. But adding sugar to the drink, to the study, did affect weight gain. So if you're drinking unsweetened coffee, it doesn't really matter whether it's caffeinated or uncaffeinated. It's not really going to affect your weight gain, especially in short-term studies. In long-term, it actually does show that moderate caffeine consumption can actually help you manage and reduce your weight over time to make sure that you're not really gaining weight. But the whole idea of this study is that adding sugar to the coffee is what caused the weight gain, not whether the coffee was caffeinated or not. So caffeine had no effect on the weight gain, but sugar did. Sugar in this study was actually even shown to increase weight gain more than even an unsweetened coffee creamer. Sugar counters the weight management effects that caffeine otherwise has. This is a good example of how sugary coffees, if you're going through the coffee drive-through, 7 Brew, Starbucks, whatever, and you're getting like, let's say a sugary frappuccino or a full sugar latte instead of doing a sugar-free, one, the sugar is negating the positive effects that the caffeine would otherwise have on your body weight management. 1. 2, it also just really increases your calorie load. And when you're increasing your calorie load via a drink, it is very possible to get a 300 to 600 calorie drink from a coffee drive-through, if not more, depending on where you're at. The calories in itself will cause you to gain weight. So just so you guys know, sugars on carbs are the same thing. They're both glycogen. Glycogen is carbs. That's also glucose, sugar. There's sucrose, fructose, glucose. Sugar and carbs are the same thing, but if you're familiar with the glycemic index, if not, I'll put a picture of it right here. There's simple carbs and there's complex carbs. And the simple carbs are going to act really quickly and spike your insulin levels. And when you spike your insulin levels quickly like that, especially if you don't have protein with it, one, your energy levels are going to spike and crash and tank all day, for one. That's why people recommend complex carbs. If you're gonna pick a complex carb like a rice or a potato, the insulin response will be like this, a lot more steady. Whereas if you have a simple sugar or just straight up sugar, which is a simple sugar. Glucose like that's going to spike really high and crash really far down as well. So one, you're going to feel like garbage. Your energy levels will be god awful. And two, aside from that, it's just increasing the calorie load with no real benefit to it. So it's not like you're getting protein from your drinks. I'm sure some places have protein coffees, but you would want to do sugar-free and modify it in those kinds of ways. But the sugar in your coffee is basically countering any positive effects you would be getting from caffeine. In terms of weight management, the caffeine, the molecule caffeine will still go in and block your adenosine receptor in your brain, which is what causes you to have that alertness feeling. But sugar also kind of brings that down. So it's not really like the most effective way to do it. So this is just a good example of how sugary coffees can cause weight gain, in addition to the obvious, unreal amount of calories that are in those drinks, negating any weight management kind of effects that you would otherwise get. Caffeine was shown in 3 RTCs, that's randomized control trials, which when you're looking at scientific studies, those are the ones you really want to look at. Ideally, just a tip for you. 13 randomized controlled trials of 606 participants that caffeine reduced, like basically across the board. The mean reduction, mean means average, if you remember from math class, the average reduction of weight was all down in like every single one of these studies, basically across the board. Caffeine showed that there was a reduction in weight and fat mass and BMI, actually, across the board. And lastly, for today, we're actually going to talk about another study. This is the last study we'll discuss. This study talks about the impact of sugar on weight and shows that replacing sugar with artificial sweeteners. So think about, let's keep using the coffee analogy. You go to get coffee, but you're getting regular coffee. If you're not specifying, they're giving you regular coffee, which is the sugar coffee, or sugar syrup, I should say. If you're asking for a regular coffee, you're getting the one with the regular syrups, which is sugar. Versus asking for sugar-free, that's going to be artificial sweeteners. Now, everyone's all up in arms about artificial sweeteners, but the studies actually between replacing sugar with artificial has no difference in the short term. Under a year is what they define as the short term. No real difference. So like that's probably why you also feel like you can drink sugary coffees and you feel like maybe for a while you're getting away from it, but you're also really your calorie load. So eventually you're going to gain weight. But like if you're looking at over a year, the long term artificial sweeteners actually led to much better weight management and maintaining your weight loss. So this is also why mine is empty right now, but this is also why sometimes in my Bless Your Heart cup, I'll put a 0 sugar soda, like a 0 sugar Coke or Sprite or Dr. Pepper. There's artificial sweeteners in there, but they are really, really great at maintaining weight loss because, one, you're getting the carbonation and the sweetness taste. It actually helps with adherence to any kind of weight loss program or diet program that you're doing. It's easier to adhere to because you don't feel that like immense restriction. You're still getting that little bit of soda. It's going to help keep you on plan. It's going to help keep you focused, but without the additional calorie load. So in long-term studies, the artificial sweeteners actually led to better weight management and weight loss. This study also showed in a non-restricted diet. So I'm going to say this wrong, but it's called ad libitum. Oh, maybe I didn't say that wrong. Maybe that's right. Ad libitum. Basically what that means is free feeding or free eating as desired. In that study, back to what I said about the glycemic index, the high glycemic carbs and the low glycemic carbs, the simple or complex carbs, basically. You can eat freely, eat as desired. That's what the ad libitum word means. There was better weight management and lower calorie intake when eating complex carbs as opposed to simple carbs. So eating a potato as opposed to a fruit, for example. There's better weight management in those complex carbs because that also helps you with, like I said, you're having better appetite regulation because your blood sugar is coming up kind of more steadily, especially if you're having protein with it, rather than spike, crash. If you're having really simple sugars all the time, that's what you're doing. You're spiking your insulin really high, really fast with nowhere really for your insulin to go. And it's going to come crashing down just as fast. That's why your energy spikes and crashes. And that's also why your mood spikes and crashes. And that's also why you can never seem to lose weight and you're craving sweets all the time. because when your body crashes, your blood sugar crashes like that, your brain is telling you to eat something that's going to pick it back up. So that's also how you end up with sweets cravings as well. That just seem like, I don't know what the word is I'm trying to think of, but they just seem like you can't get around that sweets craving. You can't just like muster on through it. You know what I mean? So those are a few really, really great studies on caffeine and sugar. Caffeine definitely has some really good weight management properties. One of them, even that I just realized I never mentioned, was it actually can help you manage your appetite better. And if you're managing your appetite better, you're less likely to overeat, as well as the other benefits of caffeine on weight management that I already mentioned. And sugar is like one of the worst things for weight management. Actually, artificial sweeteners is going to be a much better thing to do if you're looking for long-term weight maintenance. Once, like, say you've lost, let's say you've lost 100 pounds, one, you can use it while you're losing the weight because it'll help you stick on plan. More like psychologically speaking, it'll be easier for you to maintain that behavior if you don't feel like you're completely just cutting it out entirely. And also for maintaining the weight once you've lost it. So definitely try that out if you have not. Try that sort of experiment for yourself. Change your coffee order if you're going through 7 Brew or Starbucks. Get your caffeinated beverage, but get it sugar-free. It's going to make a really big difference in terms of your weight loss goals or just your weight maintenance goals. If you're at a place right now that you're happy at, I always say you don't want to, ideally, if you can help it, you don't want to drink your calories. It is really, really easy to overconsume calories as a whole in the entire day via beverages. So try to keep your calorie consumption down when it comes to beverages. And a really easy way to do that is to do sugar-free sodas, sugar-free coffees. The artificial sweetener is not going to kill you. It's actually going to help you with your weight maintenance. So if you found this video helpful, tap subscribe. Your metabolism will thank you.